I'm a little bit excited here. I mean, I'm sorry. Okay, first off, we got to get this out of the way. Umar Nurmagomedov, we've got to send some well wishes out. That fight got pulled off the card. Apparently, he's got like a really bad staph infection or the flu.
Fourth time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he is not making his UFC debut. That guy just can't seem to get into the cage. It's unfortunate. I hope they find a replacement for Sergey. So we're going to go ahead and bump over that fight. The next one, this one I am excited to talk about. We've got Da Un Jung taking on Smilin' Sam Alvey at light heavyweight. And Matt, I'm going to go ahead and let you kick this one off because I'll warn you, I got a hot take here.
Yeah, and I saw that hot take earlier, and I tried to find a way to get myself on it. And here's the problem sometimes of betting MMA, and I tell people this all the time, and we tend to do it. I tend to consider myself pretty sharp in other sports, right? And in football, at least, hey, a team wins or loses, you're able to ignore it because they play next week. In daily sports, it's great. You bet a baseball team, you watch them play horrible, they play the next day, and you're over it. But with fighters, they fight, and then for months, a lot of time, your only impression is that last fight of a fighter. And I saw, Ung Jun destroy Mike Rodriguez, who then bounced back and looked really good in his next fight. So I'm like, wow, Ung Jun looked great. And then the guy he beat turned around and looked great. And I just think this guy has all the skills to beat Sam Alvey. So I went back and looked and said, well, who does Sam Alvey beat? What are the type of guys that he does beat? Old Rashad Evans, Gian Vellante, who's never blocked a punch with anything besides his nose or his jaw ever. Arsene Prochnio. He beats guys that are slow, there to be hit. Who gives him problems? Athletic guys like Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, Kidson Abreu. No, don't get me wrong. You could ignore the Little Nog fight, but if you remember, Alvey was actually a big favorite against Little Nog, who knocked him out. 10 of his 14 losses are by decision, so no one could question the heart or the chin of Sam Alvey. I just wonder if he has the athleticism, and for me, it comes down to volume. So I do think when you talk about betting underdogs of greater than 2-1, you also have to talk about path to victory. Because at that point, how is my guy going to win the fight? And there's still a clear path to victory for Sam Alvey here, which is him winning by knockout. But I don't think it's a two-way path here. I don't think Sam Alvey wins a decision because I think the output from Ung Jun here is going to win him rounds. So I think it's Alvey by KO. If you really like Alvey, I think you can also put Alvey by KO and get a bigger price because I don't know that he wins a decision here. I just don't think he's going to be able to out-volume Ung Jun.
I can totally understand the sentiment, but this is actually that fight I alluded to earlier, where you've got a fighter who went from being a huge underdog to now being a huge favorite.
Yeah.
Daun Jung was a 2-1 dog against Kadis Ibragimov, who was the biggest bust of 2020. That guy had no business being in the octagon, and this guy was an underdog to him. They went life and death in that fight, and it wasn't until Cadiz quit and gave his neck up that he actually ended the fight. I think he's right on Cadiz's level, if I'm being honest. Now, Daun Jung is young, so this is one of those spots where he could absolutely flatline Sam Alvey round one because of the improvements he's made in the offseason. You got to expect younger fighters to get better. But in cases like Cadiz, sometimes they just don't. Sometimes they just don't have it. And you said that he had the Mike Rodriguez knocked out. He looked absolutely phenomenal against Mike Rodriguez. Yes, Mike Rodriguez looked pretty good in his next fight, but what happened after that? He got his bell rung by Ed Short Fuse Herman. And with Mike Rodriguez, he's one of the chinniest fighters on the roster, in my opinion. He either knocks you out cold, because his Muay Thai is sick, don't get me wrong. The dude's a great striker, but he can't take a punch coming the other direction. Sam Alvey, on the other hand, like you mentioned, that heart, that durability, I don't know that Daun Jung is going to actually be able to put him away. And with a guy like that kind of volume, he's there to be hit. In fact, he's got a negative strike differential. If you look at the stats, he gets hit about a significant strike more than he lands. And even though Sam Alvey has that low output, when you've got a guy that's coming in that's willing to stand in the pocket and trade with you like that, that's going to open that window. That's going to open that opportunity. And then I went back and I looked at Da-Un Jung's record. So far in the UFC, he's only beaten 2 of the guys that are on my bottom tier could get cut any day list from the UFC. The fights before the UFC, their records were 7-3, 4-1, 0-5, 8-5, 0-1. He's fought absolutely nobody. So he's got a good-looking record. He's knocked a bunch of people out, but he's fought nobody worth talking about. And Sam Alvey, on the other hand, you mentioned the Ryan Spann fight. Now, Spann is an athletic guy who's fast. He punches hard. I thought he was coming along really, really well. And Sam Alvey damn near put him down in the 3rd round. Sam Alvey took everything that kid had to offer. You can't take this guy down. He's got good balance, strong hips. If he gets taken down, you cannot keep him there. This is going to be a striking affair. And Da-Un Jung is honestly, like I said, unless he made some off-season improvements, if he stands right in front of Sam Alvey, this is another spot where I feel like he is giving the guy the path to victory that he needs. And Sam Alvey recently did an interview where he talked about how he can't leave it to the judges anymore. He understands finally that his style does not play well with the judges, and he himself predicted a round 2 knockout. And that's enough for me. I'm rolling the dice. I locked the bet in early. I got Sam Alvey as a plus 310 underdog. And it looks like I might be, I don't want to call myself sharp, but I beat the line move here because right after I got on it, it looks like some money has come in on Alvey. He's only down to about plus 275, so I think there's still plenty of value there if you're looking for the puncher's chance. If you're going with me, he's still a nice, juicy, fat dog. But this is a spot where I'm not sold on Da-Un Jung. He's got to prove it to me, and Sam Alvey may be a gatekeeper, but I feel like this is a step down for Sam Alvey. So I'll take the shot on Sam to turn the young kid back one, give him his first UFCL, teach this kid a lesson. And I might even sprinkle that round 2 knockout prop just to see if Sam Alvey makes good on his word.
I like where your head's at in this fight, and I'll tell you something I started doing since May that's actually made me more money than anything else I've been doing betting MMA, which is betting MMA in play. Now, not every book offers all the cards in play, but all the big ones definitely offer the pay-per-view cards in play. And this is one of those spots, and I like where you really got me thinking with your analysis, assuming Sam Alvey makes it out of round 1, because we know that Jung's going to come out in round 1 firing. He's a big puncher. He's a young guy. They tend to come out aggressive. And assuming that Sam Alvey makes it out of that round. And again, 10 of his 14 losses are by decision. He's not an easy guy to finish, Sam Alvey, and he certainly fought a lot bigger and stronger than Da-Un Jung and gone the distance with those guys. Assuming he gets out of round 1, he's probably going to be a significant dog because chances are he's probably going to lose round 1. You know, he's going to get out volumed by the younger guy. The younger guy may even land some big shots in round 1. And now that plus 275 might go to like plus 500, plus 600, plus 700 in play between round 1 and round 2. But I think you're right that if he gets through round 1, who's likely to fatigue? The younger guy. And if you try to wrestle with Sam Alvey, he's so heavy on his hips. And it is so, you expend so much energy. Just ask Ryan Spann how much energy he expanded trying to get Alvey down and hold him there, that I could certainly see exhaustion be an issue. And then Alvey, who somehow just never seems to get tired, he's just slow, period, start landing that big left hand like he did against Ryan Spann late. I'll tell you this, and I'll make it a bet now. No matter what condition he's in between rounds, if Sam Alvey walks to his corner after round 1, I'm going to bet him in play in the fight.
There you go. I like that. That's a good move. If he gets out of round 1, Sam Alvey is the bet. And
he has to walk to his corner.
He's got of his own accord. He can't be like crawling.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. So that's my first official bet of the night. I've already got it locked and loaded. I'm ready to go. Sam Alvey is my big barking dog for the weekend.